call the meeting of the Flat Rock-Hawcreek School Corporation to order on February 3rd, 2026. First item on the agenda will be the approval of the January 20th, 2026 minutes.
Move to approve the January 2026 minutes as presented. I will second that.
Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Public comment. Do we have anybody signed up for public comment? Okay. Board member appointment.
Hold on, Doc. I think we've got somebody who wants to speak.
Yeah, I'll sign it.
Yeah.
Oh, you already signed it? All right, I'll sign something else.
Just,
I'll sign that.
I think you're good. Yeah, go ahead. As long as we have a record of
Okay.
it.
Yeah, I'll sign that. I had got a couple questions. On your last meeting, I watched online. You guys approved fencing on the tennis court covering the sidewalk portion, and supposedly there's gates or not. My question is, one, why do we need the fencing? And two, if the town joined in on part of that sidewalk, why are we blocking it off? Because I had talked to the town, and the town claims that, you know, the big deal was to get the kids off the road on it. But if you go around and you're either gonna put up a 4-foot or a 6-foot fence that you have all the way around it, there is not one kid gonna walk down that. I mean, path of least resistance, the kids are gonna go back on the road if we put fencing around there. So it's either a waste of tax dollars from the school or a waste of tax dollars from the town, or just a combined thing, because we spent like $28,000 on planning on designing that tennis court. Then we spent another like 1.2 million doing the tennis court. We got like 1.25 million, and it took me all 5 minutes of, why didn't that tennis court get moved 4 feet more to the north and have the sidewalk go behind the fence, if that's how you wanted it?
You guys want me to take that one?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for your comments. So in that planning, we've had extensive talks with the town about that sidewalk and what the use would be for. And we let them know that those gates will be open and accessible so kids can walk through during the day. But when it comes to events and after hours, there's certain times when we need to have control of that facility. It is, like you mentioned, a substantial investment, and it needs to be taken care of. And so the fence is going to allow us to control at certain times, and we, again, have talked to the town about that and when that will be open for kids and when it possibly will not. And so we've had those discussions, and we've taken a lot of time to do that. So without that fencing, those courts are then open to the general public all the time, because you have a 4-foot fence that isn't designed. It's designed for viewing and watching the sports. It's not designed for control of people being on the courts, you know, bicyclists, skateboards, things like that we've heard from other schools that do get vandalism on their courts. So it was a compromise to be able to control it at times, but then have free access for students.
Yeah, but I'm kind of not buying all that, because if the sidewalk's done, right? And nobody plowed.
The reason that that's not plowed, because we had that same question come up, is that that's still a construction site. There's still fencing material out there. There's still backfill to do. We are not ready to open that up for students to use. So again, until the tennis project is complete, that sidewalk will not be plowed, and it won't be maintained until there is time to open that up and advertise for that.
Well, I mean, if we're going off of, and I'm not trying to just sit here and argue, but if we're going off of not backfilled, you guys poured the sidewalk on the northeast side of Hope, and that thing's not backfilled, and you have gravel running down, and nobody ever went back and put asphalt in. You got gravel all over the place. There's dirt. There's a trench that deep right there. So it's okay for the kids to walk down that one, but it's not okay for them to walk down this one?
Again, there's construction materials back at our tennis courts. There's things there that, you know, that the contractors have left because they still have a job to do and come back in the spring. So we're not ready to open that one up yet.
And I guess, so when school's not in session, those gates will be padlocked.
No, that's not correct.
That's not correct? Then what's the gate for? Because you just said to keep people out.
So when we have events and we need to control and have the crowd enter in specific gates, those gates will be shut and not accessible to the public that's viewing the events.
Yeah, but you just told me it's to keep skateboarders out and all
Sure.
that, so we're going in a circle here, and I feel like we're trying to jump through a hoop to make sure we get it where we want.
I'm just telling you why we decided to design it the way it is. And again, we've planned with the town. The town have made an investment. They were good with our plan and our approach, and so that's why we went forward the way we did.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is the board member appointment.
All right, so we had 7 individuals respond to our notice, inquiring about the vacancy and indicating their interest. Of those 7, 3 of them were deemed eligible because they do live in Flat Rock Township, and so we do appreciate all those individuals that expressed their interest in our board vacancy. And so those 3 individuals that the board will be considering tonight, first up we have Paige Waltz, Jay Phelps, and Roger Thayer. I'll turn it over to the board for your actions.
Okay. We have 2 candidates here this evening. I would give you a minute or 2 to speak if you would like.
It's from here, no, okay.
That's fine.
I'm the operator, I started in the letter. I just recently retired. I've lived in the community for the same address for 66 years. I raised parts of 3 families in the school system, and enjoy bragging on the school system wherever I go with all my friends, because I am proud of what goes on, and that's a great place to raise kids. I've got time to serve. I don't have an agenda or axe to grind, just willing to serve if I'm needed.
Thank you. Good afternoon, good evening. Yeah, I echo what Roger said. I am extremely proud to call Hope home in Rock-Hawcreek. I say what a blessing it is to have 3 kids in the school system, grew up in the school system, generations here in the Hope community. And I think, as I was telling some a few days ago, you go to other small schools and they're struggling. They're struggling to keep student population, and you see that Hope isn't. We're attracting, we're a secondary option to BCSC, I think, just from our Palmy County standpoint. That's because of the work that you're doing, this administration's doing. And I don't have an axe to grind either. I just want to be a part of the community, be a part of the future, and be a part of long-term planning, and just support our teachers, our administration, our kids, and just to make a positive impact. So I really appreciate your time this evening, and I'm glad we see we have some good candidates. So thank you.
Okay. I appreciate you speaking. We are fortunate to have good candidates this evening, and so at this time, I will open up for nominations for a new board member.
I'd like to nominate Jay Phelps.
Nomination's been made for Jay Phelps. Do we have a second? Okay, motion been made and seconded for Jay Phelps. Okay, do we have any other nominations at this time? No other nominations. Nominations will be closed. Any discussion?
Just want to thank everybody who put in for it and stepped up. Takes a lot to be willing to do it.
And there will be an election come November. So there will be this is a short trip. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by raising your right hand. Okay. Motion carried, motion unanimous. Mr. Phelps, unfortunately.
Be careful what you wish for.
And I'll just say, someone from either myself or representative from the board will be in touch with you on next steps and the process for the oath and all the things that I think Scott will take care of
Well,
legally.
that'll be next meeting, to do that, so, maybe in 2 weeks, right?
Yes, 2 weeks from today.
Okay. Next item on the agenda will be the approval of the payroll and vendor claims.
We have payroll date of January 30th, 2026.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the vendor claims.
I'll make a motion to approve the payroll and vendor claims as presented.
Second. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Next item on the agenda will be personnel.
All right, we have a few personnel items here for you tonight. First up, we have several volunteers. They're on the board, and in your packet, I ask that we approve these volunteers for the 25-26 school year as presented.
Chair will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the volunteers. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carried.
Next up, we have Hope Elementary teacher Elizabeth Derringer is asking for FMLA leave to begin on or around April 22nd through May 26th of 2026. Mr. President, I recommend the board approve this FMLA leave.
I'll make a motion we approve Elizabeth Derringer's FMLA leave.
Okay, motion been made, we have a second? Motion been made and seconded, any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carried.
All right, Principal Kyle Wheeler is recommending that we hire Tracy Dix for the open instructional assistant position at Hope Elementary. Mr. President, I recommend that we accept this recommendation for Mr. Wheeler.
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the hiring of Tracy Dix as for the open instructional assistant position at Hope Elementary. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried.
Thank you. Next up, we have Hauser varsity softball assistant coach Herbie Asher submitted his letter of resignation effective January 9th of 26. Mr. President, I recommend the board approve Mr. Asher's resignation effective January 9th.
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the Asher from the softball as a softball coach. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carried.
And then finally on personnel, we have Athletic Director Kyle Ships recommending the following coaches for the 25-26 school year. We have Jaden Blair for baseball varsity assistant and Seth Kreis for softball varsity assistant. Mr. President, I recommend the board approve these two coaches as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve Jaden Blair for the baseball varsity assistant, Seth Kreis for the softball varsity assistant. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
That concludes the personnel section.
Superintendent's report now.
All right, thank you. So first up for your consideration, we have approval of a transfer resolution. Each year we have to, you all have to approve a resolution to determine how much we can transfer on what frequency from our education fund to operations. This is a necessary part of running our sound budget. So I will just read through quickly this transfer resolution. Whereas the Board of Trustees of this governing body of Flat Rock-Hawcreek School Corporation in Bartholomew County, and whereas House Bill 1009 requires that the school board must pass a resolution to establish the amount of money to be transferred from education to operation fund on a time-specific basis as reimbursement for expenses not allocated to student instruction per Indiana code. Therefore, be it resolved that this board authorizes the treasurer of Flat Rock-Hawcreek School Corporation to transfer the amount of $315,000 on a quarterly basis beginning March of 2026 from the education fund to the operations fund. This resolution would be signed today if adopted.
President, I move to approve the transfer resolution as presented.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the transfer resolution of $315,000 as presented. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
All right, thank you for that. Indiana code also requires that the superintendent provide the governing board with a report each year and staff performance evaluations. Now, we don't give specifics on individual evaluations. We are a small school, so this is a very high-level view of that reporting. But of the of the employees that were evaluated last school year, that total was, where there were 70 employees that include administrators and certified teachers. Of that total, we had 45 deemed highly effective through the use of our rubric and 25 that were effective. Anyone below that were either no longer with us or we had 0 that were deemed ineffective. Breaking it down a little closer is Hauser had 24 teachers highly effective and 10 effective teachers. Hope Elementary, 19 highly effective and 15 effective teachers, for an equal split of certified staff at 34 for each building. And this is last year's evaluation data. This year's cycle is well underway. Administrators have been in the rooms and doing our evaluations. Those typically wrap up right towards the end of the year with final meetings with staff members. They try to get 1st of May, sometimes it pushes to the end, and then we wrap up any other documentation over the summer for finalization. So again, this is last year's data I'm reporting on. Next year you'll get the report for what we're doing this year. Any questions on that?
Does that need to be approved by the board?
There's no action necessary. We have to publicly make sure that you have heard
Okay.
this in an open meeting. Next up, we do have an action item for the Little Flyers Daycare and Preschool Handbook. You've had this in your packet. We've made some updates. Whitney is here and Jessica are the primary drivers of this revision. We cleaned up some language. As you know, this was the first year for our preschool. Daycare, we've had a couple of years under our belt, and we're just kind of honing in on the best way to communicate with our community and making sure that they have a document that they can review. So the changes are noted in there, and I'm asking Mr. President, I'm asking for approval of the Little Flyers Handbook as presented.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the Little Flyers Handbook.
So moved. Second.
Okay, as you noticed in there, there were highlighted areas where it was changed this time. So, any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Okay, we have a few projects that we discussed last time at our meeting, and I brought them forward to you tonight, and one addition that did not make the agenda that I want to add as well during this section. So first off, we have Facility Director J.B. Royers recommending that we hire Columbus Carpet to install in the auditorium from the south door to the north door. You might recall that there is a transition from one flooring to flake flooring, and we want to do a carpet runner that brings traffic from the south side to the north into the building at a cost of $37.25 and 40 cents. Mr. President, I recommend that we approve Columbus Carpet. They are the ones we approve for all of our other office carpeting, so they would be the material would match those other installs. So again, Mr. President, I recommend that we approve Columbus Carpet.
Chair will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Do you have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, motion been made and seconded to approve Columbus Carpeting to install carpeting at a cost of $3,725.40. Any other discussion?
How wide are we talking, like 6 feet, 8 feet? I mean, that seems like an awful lot.
Is it door width wide?
It's door width wide, yeah, and what it also does is, in weather like this, it acts like a buffer, so shoes dry. It's the same quality of carpet we put in the offices, which we're finding is unbelievably durable. Hence the little higher cost than what other carpets we've used in the past. And it can handle the salt and grime and keep people from slipping as they enter the auditorium as well, so.
And it also gives us we can still use that area for chairs if we have a large event and we don't want that big of a gap or break. It makes for a natural gap, but we can also put chairs in there as well. So I think it'll be the most conducive for our needs.
Like I said, it seems like that's awful lot of money for a runner. That's all. I mean, I'm not necessarily against it. It just does. It seems like a lot of money for a runner.
I think the additional cost over the carpet is also that each side has to have the termination rubber
It's gonna be,
strip all the way down.
I think we're going with metal, actually.
Okay.
It's gonna be actually tacked on down in to make it sturdy. Chairs can slide over it, not tear it up, peel it up, and so.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Same sign. Motion carried.
Next up, Facility Director J.B. Rohr is recommending we hire Dixon Coating to refinish our elementary hallways and floors at a cost of $17,750. Mr. President, I recommend the board approve Dixon Coating to refinish these hallways. And I'll just note before you take this on, we did talk about this last time. We had competing quotes. However, they varied in their scope because some of the companies weren't willing to go back over this product that we put down now 10 or 11 years ago. Dixon was the original installer, and they're the ones that will recoat, and they'll fix any problem areas for us. So we want to, this is the most cost-effective way to fix our issues on those floors.
Chair will entertain a motion.
Move to approve Dixon Coatings to refinish the elementary hallway floors as presented.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve Dixie Coating. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
All right, thank you. Next up, we have an item, athletic discretionary budget. We also talked in a previous meeting regarding some of the bond money to be allocated for future athletic projects that are deemed necessary from the athletic director and the Hauser principal. That they really need the discretion to decide on a few projects that we aren't going to fund 100%. And so I've talked to Mr. Shipp. I think this number we landed at is a solid number for him to be able to get a few things done. He's still targeting maybe a little bit more of an upgrade in the weight room, on some weight equipment. I know that we've talked about the flooring. The main gym floor hasn't been touched since it was put in. I mean, it's been resurfaced, but not repainted and designed. And I think that's one area where he's looking at getting quotes for. There's other things, and if you want more information, I can get them from him, but I wanted to turn it over and let them kind of look at what their needs are and make a priority. So I'm asking that we approve a athletic discretionary budget of up to $50,000 for the athletic department with the stipulation that they will follow purchasing procedures like we would. They will get the 3 quotes and pick the lowest quote.
Chair will entertain a motion.
So moved.
You have a second? Motion dies for lack of a second.
Okay, there we go. I will pass the word along. All right, next up, one item on the back here, we do have our iPads that are purchased through a lease payment, and we're coming up on our final lease payment. That document I shared with you earlier tonight, we've received word from bond counsel that we can make a switch from paying those out of operations fund, where we typically take a yearly payment of almost $80,000 to pay for those iPads. We now want to shift that and pay that last payment out of bond. And the unique part about this is those iPads, even though they're leased, they are ours at the end of the term. So since we own them, we can pay for them out of either the bond proceeds or from operations like we have been. So I'm asking that we make that shift so that we can save that out of our operations fund. So Mr. President, I recommend that we purchase this last installment on our lease out of our bond proceeds.
Chair will entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
Motion been made and seconded to pay the iPad lease out of it bond money. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
That concludes the superintendent's report. Other than we do have a presentation from Mrs. Poe, and I think she will, I may have one item of other business for you afterwards, so we'll let her finish this up and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
Okay, she's gonna pull up my presentation, because I emailed that to her. So I have presented to you a few times as a principal, but now I'm on the other side of things. So I'm glad I got the opportunity to do this. I know that many of you are probably trying to get to the game, so I will keep this as quick as possible. However, I think it's really important information from the special education world. So, do you want me to flip it, or you might be able to hit it over there? Let's try it. So this is from special education nobody ever really talks about, some numbers that I think are very important, and so I want to share them with you. Will it work if you hit anything? Oh, yeah, okay, we will be sending this to you digitally for the sake of time, because I know you don't want me to go through all of our staff. I think it's important to note that we do have quite a few staff members within our program. So this first slide is our special education staff. The numbers on the side are their caseloads. That's the people that they manage as a teacher of record. And on the next slide, we have our early learning staff. So just wanted to put this here so that I know there's a lot of familiar faces, family members, and different things that are serving in this capacity, and these people make it happen every day, so I wanted to share that with you. Related services is another sort of unique thing that people don't necessarily know. As you know, a couple years ago, we broke away from Earlywood. We absorbed this ourselves, and it's been not without challenges, but going very well. Related services are hired typically by either 3 districts coming together, 4 districts coming together, 5 districts. We particularly, as you know, hire the OT. We share that OT with multiple different districts. Then we have the PT, Danielle Farmer, that's hired by Southeastern.
Yes.
We have Kathy Claddy, our blind low vision, Danielle Magda, and then Hillary Brinson, our speech and language, is just serving our students. So the related services, because Earlywood used to provide those, we had to get creative about how we made that work. This is a breakdown, and I did print this out for you, but you'll also get this slideshow. I think that it's, again, just important to note how many students we're serving. As of December 1, which we have a December 1 count that's for funding for special education, all of our IEPs were fully compliant, and we did have an increase from last year's December 1 of, I think, about 3 students. So that area continues to grow. I broke it down by grade level and disability. In just an overview, under the specific learning disability, we have about 75 students, other health impairment 35, autism spectrum 24, speech and language 26. This data is about a week and a half old, so it may fluctuate a student or two. When we say speech and language 26, she actually services about 93 students, but sometimes she's a secondary. So that's just kids that are just speech only. Okay? This is another breakdown just so that you can kind of see within each category how many students we have at Hope. We're serving 128 students with special needs at Hope, and then 85 at Hauser, and then there's a total number for you. Our primary disabilities, there's just sort of a breakdown of all those disabilities that you might see. We service them in multiple different ways through push-in, inclusion, pulling them out in the resource room, etc. I also have the policies and procedures manual. We are being audited for special education this year. It's just our turn. So one of the things that we didn't have as a district, luckily they haven't asked for it yet, but I think they will, is policies and procedures within special education. So we're working on our special education policies and procedures, and they are also there if you want a link to those in the slideshow. Okay, so that's sort of our special education numbers. Does anybody have any questions specifically about that? Or I move on to the other categories.
I think if
They're up from last year.
Yes, it is up. However, it's just a matter of a few dollars. But like, for example, if you get a certain dollar amount for a student that has autism, the state is giving us like $20 to $60 less for each disability this year. So while our numbers went up slightly, the amount of funding for each went down. So it'll probably be close to a wash. But I think it's like we were at 214, we're at 217 on count day, December 1st.
I don't really have a question, but I do want to make a comment. Jessica kind of moved over it pretty quickly, but she mentioned our IEPs all being compliant. And I'll just say, in the world of special ed, being 100% compliant is not an easy task. So our special ed group, all the way from Jessica and moving down to our staff members, have done a phenomenal job of making sure they're servicing kids, but also staying compliant with what the state requires. So
Yeah,
just kudos to all of you.
This is a group of students that we don't talk a lot about, but we really have a lot for such a small school. So 504s, the long and short of it is a student with an IEP has a teacher of record that oversees that. For a 504, it's a medical condition with a doctor, And usually, for example, our school psychologist now oversees these 504s. They don't receive services, they only receive accommodations. So that's sort of the difference between the two. One gives you services through a special education teacher, the other just gives you accommodations because you have some sort of health need. You do not have to have a full evaluation to receive a 504, just a doctor's note. So we currently have 58 504 plans, so students with medical needs outside of our students who have been identified with a disability. It's actually 60. My school psychologist wanted to make sure that I knew she's got 2 more this last week. So we have 60 students in the district that are being serviced through 504 plans. And then we have our ILPs. So Mr. Robertson is sort of our point person for ILPs. I have to put a little plug in for him. He takes them to work sometimes, these families. He had Christmas dinner with some of these families, and so he goes above and beyond with our students that don't really have a connection in the community. They kind of reach out to him for all things. So it's kind of a beautiful little relationship. I love that we have that person, because we have 25 students in our district that have ILPs, and so that's where these are English learners, so English as a second language. We have to make sure everything's translated for them. We have to make sure that it's accessible for them, and so that's kind of a unique population that we really serve well. I feel proud of that. And then we have 33 McKinney-Vento students. So this is students who are experiencing homelessness. Again, huge number you're talking about. In Indiana, we're in one of the top percentages based on our enrollment. So for having less than 1,000 students, 33 of those students being considered homeless is quite a bit. Homeless is, you can be doubled up because of financial reasons with multiple families, or you can sincerely not have a place to live. And so, again, Mr. Robertson is the point person for both of those as our student services. They call him. He then puts them in contact with resources. Students Fund and Hope also often helps us support those students. So a significant amount of students in our district with different needs. This is just, I'm not going to speak much on this except for going back to that compliance. We used to have IIEP, which IEPs were all done through. We now have a new program called Special Programs. If you've been out in the state talking education with anybody in the special education world, this has been a very difficult transition for special education teachers. In the beginning of the year, it was taking them 8 to 10 hours to do a new IEP just because of the system itself. So to have full compliance by December 1st with a new program was even better because it was quite an undertaking. A lot of things are digital now, sent through the system for parents to sign. We will still always send home a paper copy if they prefer that, but then that has to be uploaded within the system. So just wanted you to know, there is a new system. It has been sort of taxing. I think at the end of the day, it will be better, but we didn't have any control on that. The state pays for whatever program, and then we just use it. So we do monthly newsletters. I did just put a copy. This is from our office. Goes out every month to everybody in the district. This was, I think, last month. Something unique that I like about this is we highlight a couple gen ed teachers. So, because while I highlight special education staff, but I also want general education teachers who are really going above and beyond to meet the students' needs in their classroom to also receive recognition, because that helps make that relationship strong. So that's kind of what goes out monthly. All right, little flyers. I'm going to give you the information. Obviously, you're all very in touch with what's going on in our district, so you know that Whitney Budd has been an integral part of making this happen. Super proud of this program. I am the director, so I get to get some of the accolades, but I'm really not putting in the legwork for this. That would be Whitney and her team. So that was a huge undertaking with licensing. She turned that around very quickly in just a few months, only to find out that the state changed the game. And while we're licensed, it doesn't really give us as much financial benefit as we had hoped. This is just some facts about, I won't read all these to you, but we had approximately 17 daycare students, 30 preschool students. We have active wait lists. We also have, just within that program, some students, McKinney-Vento students that we are servicing. They don't pay. Mr. Robertson works closely with them. That's something we do. projected for 26, 27, put that in there. We also have, Whitney's been very good about getting community dollars to help offset. So we were awarded $13,500 in On My Way pre-K tuition, but also Heritage Fund monies. What's the exact dollars on the Just Because? You know?
Just Because it was just under 13 too.
Okay.
But that one was designated for the playground.
Okay.
So we do have 7 kids total that are scholarship kids. So that means they're either On My Way pre-K, CCDF, or they're receiving like the Estes Foundation or a private scholarship we found.
Yes. So if it's not affordable for families, we really found creative ways to try to get them in preschool because we know how very important that is. So some more about our preschool. We met with another district, Mr. Price and I did today about daycare and preschool, and it was really awesome to kind of hear all the things we're doing as we're saying it out loud. We're like, wow, okay, well, we're really doing great things. One thing I highlighted was the Christmas program because I don't think I've ever been to a Christmas program with infants, so that was kind of cool. And the parents just thought it was the greatest thing. So we did also do, we're taking middle of the year, beginning of the year, middle of the year, and then we'll do end of the year assessments for kindergarten readiness. They're using the same assessment as kindergarten roundup. So it's just gonna make that basically infant to 12 experience at Rock-Hawcreek really comprehensive and aligned. The TAs are also something that I think is a really powerful thing. We just had a student graduate who, was quoted as saying, if it weren't for this program and being able to be involved, some days I would have got up and came to school. So super proud of that. And then the developmental early learning program, that used to be housed at Edinburgh. We now have absorbed that as well. We kind of went together. We would bus students over there. With starting our other preschool, it just made sense for us to do it all in that early learning wing. So Mrs. Emmel teaches our developmental preschool. They receive multiple services. It is half days depending on their age. This is not something you pay for. You're evaluated and you qualify with a developmental delay, and then you're in this program. Currently, we just have 5 students. A lot of the time, those are first steps recommendations, or we've done several evaluations for students who are within our preschool to determine if they have that need. Any questions up to this point about kind of logistics? Because this part is more just bragging on some of the cool things that they're doing.
I had a comment. I think one day they had some folks from the nursing home come in, and I had several people comment to me about how much they enjoyed that.
Yes.
They're going back in the spring. They're very excited.
Yes, there's all kinds of, you may find a fire truck out back and they're in the fire truck, and you just never know what we've got going on over there in our early learning wing.
We
So
have guests coming every month up till May. So this month we have Dr. Earhart's office is coming. And then we have a nature club that's coming that's going to do an outside nature experience and all kinds of
and she also includes our developmental within a lot of those things, which makes it really nice in our community. Okay, let me just tell you about inclusion. So one of my main goals when I took this position is we had like essential skills students and general education, special education students, and they kind of operated separately. And that just wasn't what was best for students. So my staff within this department have just absolutely taken it and ran with it. It's so cool. So this is our essential skills students, and these pictures are Fun Fridays because, which you know a lot about this, I'm sure, because they get to invite a friend from their general education class to come with them to class, and they do a project or something fun on Friday, and their friends are so excited to come to their classroom. Oftentimes our students with special needs are going into the gen ed, but it's very rare that they get to come and share their experience. So that is one thing they do. The communication devices are totally underused, especially in today's society. Every one of our students nonverbal is now using a communication device. Not only that, but our special education teacher went into their gen ed classes and taught all their peers how to use it so they could talk to each other using these devices. And if you see our students who are nonverbal in the hallway, they'll pull out their device and say hi. And that is something that has been very underused. Push-in, they're going into the gen ed setting oftentimes throughout the day. They're going to specials. We have one student who's really not appropriate cognitively to to, he's sad, and he really enjoys that peer interaction time. We have to work on some social things on the days he doesn't go in there. So that's just been really a powerful, I don't think you realize how beneficial inclusion is until you actually see it in action. So I'm proud of that program. Oh, this is they're at the grocery store. So when they have Fun Fridays, they go grocery shopping for whatever they're gonna need for their Fun Friday, and then they bring it back and do the activity. One of the students pictured here, I'm not gonna identify her, she's never been to the grocery store with her family. So the mom was like, super awesome parent, but she just hadn't been. It's one of those things they hadn't done together. And she's like, the mom was crying because she went to the grocery store for the first time ever, and she did that with the school staff. So just doing some of those actual life skills has been really awesome. Joyful Jet, so this is our, you have your essential skills population and you have your resource students. So our essential skills and resource partner together, and this is under the direction of Mrs. Burnett. They have this cart, they get orders from teachers about what kind of treat they would like, and then the essential skills and resource students deliver these treats to classroom teachers to build communication, social interaction, functional life skills. This has been another just program that has paid off. You can watch this on your own, but for time's sake, I'm not going to watch it. We've tried to include our students in the IEP meetings because we really want them to have that self-advocacy and the voice. This is an example of a student recording his strengths and weaknesses for his parents to share in the case conference, and the video is just absolutely adorable. So if you want to watch that, you will know a little bit about what they take to the conference with them. And this is our only student with a moderate cognitive delay in class. So it makes me cry. He's sitting in health class with his friends. He's never been in a general education class before, and he loves it. And he has his little cards over here. He doesn't like it when you clap real loud, so he'll put up a stop sign. But this is the highest level of cognitive delay that we have. In a lot of cases, this student would be sitting in a self-contained classroom, not participating in any sort of general education activity. So kudos to Mrs. Weaver for making this happen, but also to the gen ed teacher for saying, come on in, let's make this work. So he's doing great. And lastly, this again is our high school. So I spoke earlier about our elementary essential skills. Mrs. Weaver is running our high school program. This is an award ceremony where she awarded them their jobs. So each student they have what's called on-the-go snacks, where they provide snacks at the high school level for a cost. They work on financial literacy, they work on supplies, they work on stocking and inventory, and they had different jobs that they could apply for. One person was given the role of manager, but after applying for jobs, they dressed up and came to their award ceremony where they were given whatever specific job they were chosen for. So again, this is going to be something that prepares them for the real world and jobs that they will hopefully continue to pursue. So I have a lot of special education teachers that I didn't get to brag on today that are continuing to create inclusive opportunities and build independence and life skills and just overall support for academic and social growth. But I want to make sure that I let you know that they're also doing great things. This is just a few things we'd like to highlight, and thank you for letting us do what we do. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions?
I'd just like to make two comments. First, when we went away from Earlywood and we had to make the decision to bring this in-house, I can just tell you that these things wouldn't be happening if we were still under that umbrella. This is made possible because we brought the control in, and Mrs. Poe has taken it, and she has worked with her staff to just do some absolutely wonderful things that you saw there. And so I just want to give her so much credit because this is a very quick turnaround to bring this in. And I know other schools that have went away from co-op models, and they've had very difficult time, servicing their students, let alone bringing in new programming that is helping to break down stigma around special education and bring students into their own classroom. I just think that's fantastic.
And come visit us. And have you been in that classroom?
I've been in-
His wife is in our
one more time, I'm gonna give another shout out to Whitney and to Jessica because of our preschool that she talked about there. That was a long time coming. We've been trying to get a preschool up and running for several years, and it took a lot of time and effort. We started with the daycare. As Jessica mentioned, we met with the school, Blackford County Schools, and today, and they were talking about wanting to see more about our daycare. I think they're going to come look and see what that's about because they want to offer that for their staff as well. And I can just tell you, if you need to put a smile on your face, go to the toddler room at like 2:55, and when the parents are coming in to get their kids, you've never seen kids so excited, and the hugs that they're giving. It's just you can't have a bad day after that. So it's a very special place, and I'm very proud of both of you ladies and just the work that you've done to make it happen. So.
Yeah, I gotta say that preschool daycare thing, it's just great.
I will say too, just to echo what Jessica was saying, I go in there on these Fridays where they have their physical peer come into the classroom, and a little girl invited one of them to a birthday party.
Aww.
Yeah, and it was, and he got to go to his first birthday party with a friend. And it's a unique experience being in that hallway, because I was also in that hallway last year to kind of build the program, so I saw what it was and what Miss Emil has done this year with it, and it is just, that is a good group of ladies down there doing great work.
The devices, the one little guy, only I heard the essentials on his.
All right, that's all I have.
You didn't have another item?
They covered it. It was actually our update for next year on our preschool. They talked about some of those numbers, and we'll get you fresh things there. But it's just we are proud that we're growing, and we may eventually have to add more classrooms to our preschool or our daycare. So we've got lots of spots filled up already, and very few.
We'll open tomorrow, and we have 9 spots available. I have 2 in my email right now, so it might be 7 by the time.
So last year we had 30 spots, and it was when it was brand new. And so what we're filling right now with people that have already been on a wait list, or those students that are moving up from our daycare into our preschool. And again, now we only have 9 community spots available on the opening day of enrollment. So that's what I'm saying is we may have to look at expanding at some point if those numbers continue to rise.
Any other business to come before the board?
Had Rock-Hawcreek Fire Rock area and down the meeting yesterday, basic reorganization for the first year. And looks like our numbers for the scholarship used to be dollars for scholars. We didn't have final numbers because even Heritage Fund had to do something. But they were pretty high, higher probably than what we were getting for dollars for scholars. And that the endowment grant cycle is still open until early April. I don't remember the exact day, I will say the 10th. Get those in, get the word out, let everybody know, nonprofits in Flat Rock and Hawkcreek townships. So that's about it.
Okay. Any other business? Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Meeting's adjourned.
All right. As always, stick around. Missy's probably got some things for you to sign.
Yeah, I have 2 things, food and bathroom, that's it.
Yeah, because you have, what comes up with you?
Yeah, that's it, that's all I hear. Everything else is beat
I mean,